So, hello, friends. Here we are for our live interview with Lisa Rich. And she's in Washington, D.C. I'm interviewing her from Milano. And it is 2 p.m. in Washington, and it's 8 p.m. in Milano, in Italy. So, Lisa, where would you like to start?
Eva, from the beginning, of course.
Of course.
Well, I was born in Louisiana. That's very south from where I live now in Washington. And I guess we came to Baltimore around 1955, and I grew up there and stayed there until I went to college. So there was a lot of jazz buzzing around. My dad played jazz. My mom sang jazz. And also my mom, as I've told you, is a painter. So I think that the beginning of my being an artist and being a singer had to do with always hearing jazz and having my mother. She used to bring me to her easel and she would paint and she would say, "What do you see?" And I was 5. And she never painted anything that wasn't abstract. And I would say, "I see the beach, I see an embryo, I see music signs," whatever it was. And I think she just got me so into color and space that because I had a better voice than I did art talent, I just never really felt like art was my thing. I always sang. When I was 6 months old, I would stand in my crib and do shows, and my parents and their friends would laugh because it wasn't in English or Italian. It was in whatever the heck.
Baby language.
Baby language, but I was doing a show. And I was dancing and I was falling down and getting back up. And so it was obvious, I think, from the beginning that I was going to be a singer and a performer. And so my parents just gave me everything: guitars, pianos, singing teachers. I was in the choir. I was in the madrigals. I just loved everybody who was doing music. So all my friends were into music. And in my high school years, I was listening to Broadway shows. So I would go into the basement where my dad had speakers, and he would just play 4 Broadway shows in a row, and I would sing and dance, and that was my training. So those were the standards that became my jazz tunes. They were Broadway shows. I had a singing teacher who played great jazz piano when I was 13, and she played them, and I learned them all the things that eventually were all in the real book that we all had to learn. And just the greatest songs of their day ended up being the songs that were so fantastic to sing with a trio. So I went on the road after college, and I was singing in a show band, and I was really a backup singer and a dancer. And I had never sung with a band by myself except to sit in. So one night the guy said, "I don't really want to do the first set. Would you mind taking the first set with a trio?" And I said, "Would I mind? I would like to just take the whole gig."
Okay.
I did the first set, and I think I did Misty, and I did On a Clear Day, and I just did every standard that I had done with my singing teacher. But the guys were fantastic, and I didn't even know that it was jazz. It was just not the show that we were doing with the dance steps and the ooh-la-las and whatever. It was me with a trio doing songs that were starting out as ballads and turning into swing and things that were bossa novas and sambas. And I just found out that my voice really was a jazz voice and not a classical voice like I had to study in college, and not a pop voice or an R&B voice. I was just smoky and jazzy, loved ballads, loved jazz, and the most important thing I realized about myself is I loved being in the moment. I loved the challenge of not doing it the same way ever, and having each moment be a reading, even though your songs maybe have stayed the same over a 30 or 40-year period. You have a different feeling every night. You have different people in the band. You have different people in the audience. You feel differently because of things that happen during the day or in life in general. Speaking of the pandemic, that changed everything a lot in music. So just to jump ahead to today and not be talking about what happened before, I am so excited because since I did have some health problems, as some of your listeners know, I didn't have a chance to go to New York or to go to LA to study or to zip over to Europe when I wanted to. So everybody seemed to be home when the pandemic hit. So I called up all my favorite singers and I said, could we talk? Or could we get together? Or could I have a lesson? Or could I give you a lesson? And so I have been just studying since the pandemic started. And I was doing that before, pulling myself together to try to get ready for the 2 concerts that I did in 2019, which were the first 2 concerts that I was able to do in 20 years. And the other really interesting part and the big change for me is that now I have to be seated instead of dancing around. And that's different. It really brings the focus into the heart. And I'm also now older than last time I sang. I was about 35 last time I was on tour. So now I'm not 35. I have a lot more to say. I have a lot more experience. And I also feel like people are listening in a very different way now. People are listening to be healed. And I feel like our job as musicians and as human beings is to give anything that we have that can help other people and can keep the music going, keep the healing going, because something's going to come of this and we don't know what it's going to look like, but you know it's going to be full of music, creativity, and sharing with the heart. Like you do.
Well, would you like to share one of your songs from High Wire with the listeners? Shall we do it now?
Sure. Are you going to do it?
I am working on it.
Oh, good. I don't have to do anything. There it is.
Smile for me, my contestant. I come to you. The moon, spring, and the perfume of the sky is as it was before. My contestant. Soft your eyes in the sky. How many lives ago I ran to our hands intertwined in such a garden, remembering us music, our bodies, chandeliers, where I heard you sing. A long, long time ago, and before that, over and over again. Lift the pain, the pain, The endless living that has left our garden. We're lovers once again, just as usual. But this time I can see who you are. Memories are true. Now your eyes it seems shine clearly. And at last I can love you as I always do. Again, but now Contessa, we lift the veil, the veil, the endless limb that has left your garden. We're lovers once again, just as we were. But this time I can see who you are. Memories of you, now as it seems, shine so clearly. And just I can love you as always do.
So that's by Chick Corea, and Tony Cohan wrote the lyrics.
This was so beautiful.
Thank you. I just love that song.
And your voice is so,
Thanks.
it caresses you.
Thank you. It really helps when you have songs that you adore.
Yes.
In fact, I wanted to bring that up, how people pick their songs. I don't know if it's the same for you, but you're picking your songs throughout your teenage years and your 20s, and then you become over 60 and you look and it's your life story. And you see that everything, well, I see in my choices of songs, it's all about breaking free. It's all about love, freedom, freedom with people, freedom from oppression, freedom from hunger, freedom from everything. And you look at your songs and they pretty much tell who you are, what you think, and as you sing them, you're able to become yourself or find yourself and then continue to grow towards something beautiful. Yeah.
It's important to pick songs that you relate to.
So I'm finding now that I'm picking the songs for my next record. I never expected to get to it. So I'm feeling so grateful, so blessed. I'm working with some good musicians and learning. I'm going through so much material that I considered over the years and didn't finish. Some things that I just had started that now I'm finishing and starting to get ownership of, so I feel like I could record it. And of course, the most important thing before you record is to get to sing them live. So I'm hoping it's not just a Zoom affair for us before we record, but I don't know. Somebody asked me to come out and social distance and sing outside next week. And I thought, why not? Music's music.
Yes,
So
why not?
we may just try to do that next week outside. And if it's not 90 degrees, maybe it could be fun.
That would be great. I mean, if you can do it at the right social distance and without risking, you know.
I don't know how well my voice would sound with a mask, but maybe I could just pick it up like the horn players and make a little sound and then put it back on.
Well, you can test it at home, but you know, you can sing with a mask. But if you're far from everybody, can't you take the mask off or just lower it?
Yeah, and then of course,
is that possible, or is it still forbidden?
I don't know if there's any law about that as far as outside, but I think things will get better.
Yeah.
And I think if people are far enough away, you can still make music.
Yeah, because we can do it here now in Italy, you know.
The first thing I saw them do in Italy that just made my heart sing was when all the people were on their balconies singing opera, and they were singing for the first responders, and just everyone was on their balcony singing in Italian. I thought I had gone to heaven.
Well, you know, we had a very strange period. It keeps on raining in Italy in February, March, April, and May. You know, it's like raining every day. Mm-hmm. We didn't have a cloud in the sky, not one.
Right.
It was so sunny and beautiful, and we were all trapped in our homes. We couldn't go out. The musicians started posting things on Facebook and saying, okay, that day at this time, let's all go on our balconies and play something. You know, I did that once too. Took my guitar, I sang one song, and all my neighbors were watching, and, you know, we had a moment together, you know, which was important because we weren't seeing anybody. I mean, the people who were on their own at home, like me, and like many other people, of course, there were families of 4, 5, 6, whatever, 3, but many people were totally on their own. Right. So but then it became a habit, and all the musicians and people were out on their balconies every day. But it was, you know, that maybe was a bit too much. I did it only once. And
I thought it had so much soul. I was just really happy to see it. And then I turned on something, I think, on Facebook, and I heard conga players playing salsa from their balconies and singing in Spanish. And just every country had something wonderful to contribute.
Yeah, yes, but that happens when, you know, it's the first weeks, but then when it goes on and on and on and on and on, and you're always closed in your home,
Yeah.
uh,
It's challenging.
and you get very bad news from the TV, so that sort of, you know,
I had a breakup with my TV.
Yeah.
For the pandemic, I just decided it was not really the right thing for me. I'd already spent some time with the TV and done a lot of Netflix and things, so I just decided for the pandemic, it's music only.
Yeah.
You know, we go outside, walk around a little bit, but we try to be careful.
And you know, also I think that this was a very good moment for musicians to focus on doing something new, on studying new things, on preparing new projects, because it's like being in a cocoon, you know.
Like a pause to see
Yes.
who you are and what you want to do.
Silence can help, you know, sometimes, and what you think, what you're going through, and instead of getting too depressed, you know, you might start working on something new and believe that it can happen again afterwards, you know. So many people did that.
I think that we as musicians can create the next thing. That, yeah. I mean, we created, some of us, iPhones, CDs, tape decks. Something's got to happen because of this technologically. And if we can't go out and share music the way we used to, somehow we'll still share and it'll still happen. But I don't think jazz is really a socially distanced kind of sport. I think it's a really hugging, it's like a hug, and a hug with the whole band and the whole audience. So I'm hoping that we get a vaccine and we all go back out and do it like we used to, but perhaps it will be nicer to the environment this time.
Let's hope so. I really love what you said, you know.
Yeah.
And so, so you're getting ready for upcoming concerts, and you are also teaching.
Yeah, I met some people, and I'm teaching on Zoom and FaceTime. And as you know, I've been teaching since 1972. So I love to teach. It's part of learning for me. You teach what you're learning, and you also teach the things that people need. And as they have questions, you learn things that you perhaps didn't even need to know for yourself, but you need to know as their teacher. And then you realize you also get great benefit out of learning it. So I love that. I have one student who came to me and she said, "Am I too old to start now?" And she's maybe 3 years older than me. And I said, "No, I mean, what's wrong with having a third career? As long as it's something you love doing, it's just your next chapter." So if somebody's looking to sing now and they want a teacher, or they want to just throw something out there and see, write a song, do something to throw music outside of your heart and get it out to somebody else, I recommend it. I think it's medicine. I think it's life. I can't stand to not have creativity in my life. It makes me a crab. So I try to get it as much as possible from as many people as possible.
Well, what would life be without creativity?
Boring.
Very boring. And art, you know, all every kind of art, you know.
Yeah. It blows me away to think that a canvas is empty and then something comes from within you and it's a song, or if it's a painting, or if it's a composition, a Broadway show, anything. It just blows me away that you can go within yourself and come out and share that with the world. I saw Hamilton last night for the first time, and it was just so exciting. It was just on TV. So I did watch something on TV, actually on my iPad.
Well, you
Yes.
choose what you want to see. You pick what you want to see, right?
It was such a treat. It was like going to New York, going to the theater, and not having to leave your bed either.
Yeah.
Anyway, so getting more into the story of Highwire, I met Chick Corea years ago, and he gave me this package of tunes that he had just written with Tony Cohan. And Tony Cohan and I met after I did the record just through the internet, and we wrote back and forth. And he never knew that his songs got recorded. So it was so amazing to meet him and to be able to send him songs. And of course, Chick heard me do them. And it was a long time ago that we started recording it. It was 1987. And it got shelved because of my health. And then in 2019, my husband, who I've been married about 21 years, he said to me, if you're ever well enough to put it out, I'm going to help you make it happen. And we did it. I couldn't believe it. It took a long time. We went over to where I recorded it, and we had to go through those big 24-track tapes they had in the 80s and find the songs, and then find the piano part and find the drum part. And, you know, somehow we found enough songs and we mixed them. And that's what you're listening to now. And I was really excited that it came to pass because I didn't think it would ever come out. It was just a day that we went into the studio and recorded the songs that we were learning. And I love these songs. I believe in them. I think they're all about freedom. I think Chick Corea is an astounding composer. And then I also have 2 songs from Ralph Towner, and one song that I paired Ralph Towner's Celeste with Duke Ellington's Prelude to a Kiss. And I really didn't even remember that we had done that until we bumped into it. But I was delighted with that. It was just, you never know what's going to happen, how it's going to turn out. One of the things that I think is kind of interesting is that because of this coming out in 2019, it had a completely different meaning to me as a person than it would have had it come out in my 30s. Because now I'm over 60 and I can appreciate it in a new way. I maybe didn't even know if I liked it or not when I did it. And then I heard it later and I thought, this should come out. There's no reason that this should be on my bookshelf or in the studio on a shelf. So putting it out led me to coming back and doing a concert. And I didn't know that was going to happen. I only prayed that I would be well enough. And now I don't think anything can stop me.
Yeah.
I just want to keep making music, and I want to keep playing with great players and finding more songs or writing lyrics, putting out some music, and being a part of the jazz community, which I find to be so loving and spiritual, and all over the world, people love this music. And just meeting you on Facebook, and now I'm your fan too.
I'm your fan too. And and this is so beautiful how music can put together so many people from around the world, and you get to know beautiful souls and beautiful voices and beautiful people, and share.
Yeah.
And
it's
share.
amazing that we're globally just speaking to everyone just now. Different times of day, different places. I love it. And I know you speak 4 languages, so you could lots of different singers all over the world. I hope you do, because it's lovely. I've listened to your other interviews, as you know. I love them.
I had one lately in Italian, and it would be great if somebody could subtitle all the interviews in other languages, because that would be interesting, for people who don't speak English to understand what we're saying, or for
Italian app.
Yeah, or for Italian interviews to be translated into English.
That would be great.
But I could do that, but it would take, it's a very big job. It takes a lot of time, and plus I could translate it, but I would have to find somebody who knows how to add all the words under the video at the right time. So
the technology is intense.
Yeah, yeah. I learned, quite a lot of things. Like going on a platform,
right.
Doing live interviews and posting them on Facebook, downloading the interview from Facebook and uploading it to YouTube. But that's as far as I go.
Technology.
That's as far as I can go. I'm not able to do. I might learn. Never say never, but I might learn something more. But
well, I've got an AKG microphone that I bought this morning. Who knows? I might be an audio interface by tonight.
Yeah, why not?
Everybody's got to multitask now if they want to do this.
Of course. Of course.
Anyway, this has been fun.
Yes, very much, and I'm so glad that that we made it, that we did it, and I'm sure many Italian singers who the Italian singer community, maybe not all of them know you, so I'm really thrilled that they can.
Thanks for introducing me to everyone.
And listening to your beautiful voice, and because I think
maybe one day we'll be allowed to come to Europe.
Well, that would be beautiful too. Why not?
Wouldn't that be wonderful? And you to us.
That would be great.
Yeah.
So, Lisa, is there anything you want to say to our listeners before we say goodbye?
I want to say thank you for having me on your program. Feel free to call me or contact me on Facebook, anyone, for lessons or to say hello. I'm at Lisa Rich, and I'm also at Lisa Rich Jazz Singer on Facebook and Lisa Rich Jazz on Twitter. I don't think anyone's on Twitter, on Facebook, but you never know.
And you are on YouTube.
I'm on YouTube.
You have 2 channels, Lisa Rich and Lisa Rich Jazz Singer.
And then also my first 2 albums are under Lisa Rich, and my 3rd album is under Lisa Rich High Wire.
Yeah.
Just in case you're looking for the first 2 albums. They're a little bit different to find, but you can find them. The 2nd album with Claire Fisher has all of his material on it, and that's all Latin and bossa novas, and 1 song in Spanish, 1 song in Portuguese. And
Jay is watching, just saying hello. Great. Love to you both.
Yeah.
Big kiss to Jay. Thank you, Jay.
Clayton. She made my birthday this year.
And Pat Batstone is also listening.
Hi, Pat. Hi,
and
Pat.
Chiku Bai and Jose Kikis. I don't know if I'm reading the names right. I don't know the pronunciation, but
Well, thank you for watching. So excited.
They're saying hello.
Do you have any questions?
If somebody has any question, just type it in and we will be able to. I can see them. I don't think you can see them, Lisa, right?
No, I can't.
I have that part on screen. I cannot reply from from this platform, but I do
Well, if
see,
anybody wants to write me a question, I would be so thrilled.
of course.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
So we're going to say goodbye to our listeners.
I want to say, I wish I could say more in Italian since I did study it in college, but all I can think of is to say, thank you so much. And
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
take good care.